Welcome to another IB Environmental Systems and Societies video. Today we're going to address the Paper 2 essays in your upcoming examination. So let's get straight into it. First, we're going to start with the basics. For the standard level students, Paper 2 is 2 hours long. You're going to answer the short answer questions in Section A, and then you write one essay from 2 options in Section B. That's worth 60 marks. If you're in higher level, you get 2.5 hours, but you have to write 2 essays from 3 options, and each essay is still worth the same amount of marks. So the essays are 40 out of those 80 marks in Paper 2 for the HL students. Section B is where the real thinking happens. The structured essays are open-ended questions that ask you to analyze big picture environmental issues. There is no correct answer. Your job is to present a thoughtful, well-supported argument. Let's look at what these essay prompts actually ask you to do. The questions are big picture. They might ask about perspectives, like whether an ecocentric value system is better than others at solving sustainability problems. They might ask you about systems, like how cycles or feedback loops help you understand sustainability. And they might ask you about sustainability itself, the core idea of meeting human needs today without damaging opportunities for the future. These are open-ended questions. That means you're not looking for a single correct answer. Instead, you need to analyze the question carefully, you need to reach a conclusion about what you think, and then you need to justify it with evidence and solid reasoning. The examiners use a rubric to grade your essay. Understanding what the rubric is asking for is your first step to earning high marks. So let's break down what they're looking for. First, they want substantial evidence that you know ESS issues and concepts well. That means you can't just drop ESS vocabulary into a sentence. You have to actually understand it and you have to use it correctly. Second, they want you to show a wide breadth of knowledge statements that are linked together. The rubric specifically says effectively linked to each other and to the context of the question. That's a big deal. It means that every paragraph has to be built on the previous one, and it has to show how your ideas connect. Third, you have to use ESS terminology consistently, and you have to use it precisely. Fourth, use examples that are pertinent and well explained. Fifth, your analysis needs to be thorough, it needs to be well balanced, and it needs to be insightful. So don't just list facts, dig deeper. Finally, you have to reach an explicit conclusion that's well supported by evidence and arguments, and it has to include some critical reflection. In other words, you need to acknowledge that your answer isn't the only possible answer, and you can't say somewhat or it might be. You can't sit on that fence in the middle. Sitting on a fence is uncomfortable, so you got to choose one side of the fence. They don't really care which side you sit on, as long as you explain why you think your side is the right one. So how do you actually write an essay that hits all those marks? Step 1, for each essay prompt, outline what you're going to write. Begin with an outline or a concept map. And you can do this as soon as you finish that 5-minute reading period. So I suggest you actually start Paper 2 by going directly to the essay prompts while you have that 5-minute reading time. And you can't write anything, but you can read the essay prompts and you can figure out which one or which ones you're most confident in and you're most comfortable answering. Then you make your outline and you do this T-chart analysis at that time before you go back and start answering the Section A questions, which are much shorter. While you're doing Section A, your brain is going to work in the background and develop some ideas about that essay in your subconscious. Use a T-chart to analyze both sides of the question. We're going to look at what that means in a moment. Determine the flow of your essay. Once you've got your ideas mapped out, decide how you're going to organize them. What goes first, what comes second, what comes third. You're ready to go. Write the essay from that outline and T-chart that you've already developed. Here's the structure that works best for one of these essays. First comes your introduction. That's where you're going to state what the question is asking and hint at your overall position. Next, your first big idea or argument. Then your second big idea. After that, you can add some additional evidence or some other arguments that either support your main points or indicate that you're looking at the opposite side or the opposing side of an argument. That leads into your analysis section, and that's separate from just stating facts. That's where you're explaining what those facts mean and how they connect to the question. Then finally, you've got your conclusion, where you're going to pull everything together and state what your final position is very, very clearly. Write one sentence that clearly states a conclusion. The big ideas and the supporting arguments might be 2 or 3 paragraphs, and the key is that each section has to flow into the next one using transitions and connective language. Speaking of connections, let's talk about some of those transitions. These are the phrases that are going to link your ideas together and they're going to help your readers follow your thinking. If you're emphasizing a point, you might say undoubtedly, clearly, or importantly. If you're adding more information, try moreover, or furthermore, also, or in addition to that. If you're showing contrast, this is like where you lead into that opposite side of your discussion. You want to use things like nevertheless, however, on the other hand, or despite this. And if you're ordering your ideas, like sequentially, you want to go first, second, finally, or subsequently. These kind of transitions might seem small, but they do make a big difference. They signal to the examiner that you're thinking carefully and that your ideas are connected, not just scattered throughout the essay. Now I'm going to take you through one example in some detail, and I'm going to explain how you structure your response to this prompt. Then I'm going to be quiet and just show some additional examples. And what you will want to do during those additional examples is simply play the video. You might want to pause it while you develop some ideas of your own, or you might want to write down these ideas to use them as study points. But you can use that time to structure your thinking as you review in preparation for your paper 2 exam. So let's go ahead and get going with our first example prompt. So here's the prompt. Deforestation and other forms of land degradation have a greater negative impact on sustainability of biogeochemical cycles than any other human activity. Discuss the validity of the statement. This question is about the key concept of sustainability, and it asks you to take a position, right? Do you agree or do you disagree? The prompt is asking you to think about whether deforestation really is the worst threat to biogeochemical cycles, or whether other human activities are equally harmful or even worse. So let's walk through how you're going to organize that response. The first step is to brainstorm your 3 main arguments. For this prompt, here are 3 strong, big ideas. First, deforestation disrupts the carbon cycle. When you clear forest, you remove major carbon sinks. The Amazon rainforest, for example, stores enormous amounts of carbon. When you cut it down, all that carbon gets released into the atmosphere. You're going to use terms like carbon sink, carbon source, carbon sequestration, and residence time to explain how this works. Your example, of course, is Amazon deforestation. The second big idea is that industrial agriculture crosses the nitrogen planetary boundary. So your example is industrial agriculture, and you could put it in a country if you want, like the United States or Australia or Canada or Europe. Then you want to use a bunch of key ESS terminology. You might put in eutrophication, you might put in the Haber process, you might put in nitrification, right? You might put in biogeochemical cycles. You might use the planetary boundary terminology. All of those are key ESS terms that the examiners will welcome seeing in your essay. The third big idea is that other human activities also disrupt biogeochemical cycles. And this is the idea that sets up that contrast that you need in your analysis. You've got here that fossil fuel combustion releases greenhouse gases on a massive scale. That's a big idea. And we've learned about that quite a bit in topic 6 when we learn about the atmosphere. You've got ocean acidification that happens when oceans absorb excess carbon dioxide. And you've also got an example like the permafrost time bomb, where as frozen ground thaws due to global warming, it releases even more methane that accelerates warming through positive feedback. So that amplification of climate change is an example or a counterexample of your counter argument. Notice that that third idea actually contradicts the original statement. Right? It says that other activities might be just as bad or even worse than deforestation alone. That's intentional. That strong essay acknowledges those competing or contrasting ideas. Next, you're going to set up your T-chart to analyze both sides. So you want to list your arguments for the statement on one side and your arguments against the statement on the other side, or strengths on one side, limitations on the other side, pros versus cons. You can see what these are here. Deforestation removes major carbon sinks, land clearing exposes soils, soil degradation disrupts decomposition and nutrient cycling, slash and burn agriculture releases both carbon and nitrogen, right? That's all arguments on one side of the discussion. Then your arguments against on the other side of the discussion are that fossil fuel combustion releases more carbon annually than deforestation does. You've got urbanization that alters both nitrogen and water cycles. You've got agricultural nitrogen that inputs from fertilizers actually exceeds deforestation impacts by themselves. You've got industrial emissions that are disrupting multiple biogeochemical cycles at the same time. All of those arguments show that you're looking at both sides of the issue. Finally, your conclusion needs to bring it all together. And here's what a strong conclusion looks like for this prompt specifically. Deforestation strongly disrupts carbon and nitrogen cycles. So you're acknowledging the original statement that it wants you to discuss. However, Fossil fuel combustion and industrial agriculture together release greater quantities every year. That shows some critical reflection. The statement is partially valid, but it's overstated. No single human activity dominates cycle disruption in all contexts. That last sentence about no single activity dominates cycle disruption, that's your concluding statement. Notice what this conclusion does. It acknowledges that deforestation is a serious problem. It doesn't dismiss that, but it also shows critical reflection by pointing out that the statement goes too far. It says that no single activity is the worst in every situation. That nuance is what earns those top marks. That nuance is what gets you that 9. So you're not just picking a side and sticking to it. You're showing that you understand the issues and how it's more complicated than the prompt suggests. That's the kind of conclusion that examiners reward. That's what shows that you've analyzed the evidence, that you've weighed competing arguments, and that you've reached a reasoned judgment. That's exactly what the rubric is asking you to do. You can do this. I know you can. You've seen all of these topics. What you're trying to do now is you're just trying to connect them in this nice sequence. Introduction, first key point, second key point, third key point, analysis, nuanced conclusion, done. Now I'm going to be quiet while you have a look at some of the other examples. And at the end, I'll wish you best of luck on your ESS examination. Good luck on your exams.